I'm Jay Taylor. I'm the editor of a newsletter called Jay Taylor's Gold, Energy, and Tech Stocks, and I'm here at the Metals Investor Forum in Vancouver. It's March 10th, 2022, and I'm here with Scott Berdahl. He is the CEO, he's a director and the co-founder of Snowline Gold Corp. It's a company I just, within the last several months, started following in my newsletter. It's a really exciting story. They're operating in the Yukon, in the Tintina Fault, which is very, very famous, very well known for its endowment of gold and other minerals. So the company is it's just a baby. It went public last year, and it's amazing. But they made two apparent discoveries, and they look like discoveries already with some size potential. And I think it's a really exciting story. So thank you, Scott, for joining me today. And let's just tell the people what you're doing up there, because you made two discoveries fairly close to each other, I believe, both of them.
Sure. Well, yeah. Thanks for having me, Jay. I really appreciate the invite. And we did just that. It was kind of a best case scenario, maybe even better than our best case scenario when we launched the company, but it was ultimately what we were hoping for. We launched the company after, coming out of a private prospecting endeavors. My father's a prospector.
Yes.
I'm a prospector, not even by choice, just dragged out there as a little kid and started doing it. And so, we are a new company, but we're building on a really strong foundation. We have a lot of knowledge of the Yukon Territory. We've worked there for decades, and we've in that time, we've staked and optioned out more than 1% of the Yukon Territory's entire surface area. So we've done a lot of homework, and from that 1%, we've identified a lot of very good moose habitat, and we've also identified some really promising targets. So that's where Snowline starts. So we really start, in the sun curve, we've kind of chopped off those 5 years of risky ideation. We've compressed 30 years into that period, and we really get to start at, with all the goodies on the shelf there, we get to start drilling them. We have probably over a dozen targets on our 4 flagship projects, 2 flagship projects with 2 right next to them, right in the area where we're focused. Yeah. And
a dozen targets on those 2.
A dozen targets on the 4 overall.
On the 4 overall.
Yeah, it's and that's I guess what you call a target depends on how excited you are, I suppose, on that particular day. But a lot of them are very strong targets, and it was sort of hard to select which 2 we would start on. I like to think that we made some good decisions there with the 2 discoveries that we did have. But there are also some very low-hanging fruit in the ones that we've yet to get to. And so this we launched last March. We recognized that we needed heavier capital that we could bring in than we could bring in just as a private couple of prospectors, and we got the interest of Keith Newmeyer, and then Crescat Capital came in. Quentin Henry really likes the projects, and Eric Sprott and Palisades came in on the initial round, and so we were lucky to kind of get that support on the story. Not to mention building a very strong team around, within and behind Snowline, including our board with Craig Hart chairing it. He's a world-renowned researcher, particularly on the type of discovery we made at Valley. So that really helps to have that in-house expertise as well. And so with that, it kind of really, I guess, makes it a little less surprising that we had such a successful first season, but we're definitely very happy to be where we are.
Yeah, indeed. Can you talk a little bit about the geology and put it in lay terms as much as you can? Your 2 main targets, or your two success stories so far, your 2 discoveries.
Yeah, and no, that's it. And it's interesting to point out too that they're very different. They're both gold discoveries, but they're a different style. One's like a bulk tonnage, sort of Fort Knox style discovery. The other's a high grade, sort of orogenic, like a lode type deposit. And so, they're both in an area called the Selwyn Basin, which is analogous to the Great Basin in Nevada. So both basins were 500 million years ago passive margins, much like the coast off the Atlantic seaboard right now. There's not there's not a lot of volcanoes out in New Hampshire, but you have this nice slope out there and sediments getting laid down, and so the same coastline is now in Nevada and in the Yukon, crushed up into the mountains, and a lot has happened to those rocks, and a lot of similar things have happened to those rocks. And of course, if you follow the resource space at all, you know that Nevada is a very strong gold producer with Carlin trends. And so in 2010, a company called Attack Resources made some interesting discoveries in the Yukon that showed that we too have Carlin mineralization. And what we're seeing with Snowline is that there's a whole spectrum of of deposit types that can occur in that setting. So it's not just Carlin. We do have some very prospective rocks for Carlin, and some of those targets that I mentioned are things that we'd like to follow up and potentially find some Carlin on. All the the smoke is all there, and we just need to get get our thinking caps on and get the drill over there. But nonetheless, you start to see what happens to the fluids that cause a Carlin system if they don't find a Carlin style trap, and can you get something more like what you see right now in Newfoundland with these epizonal orogenic deposits. Yeah. And so we think that that there is a continuum there, and that may be what we're seeing. And at the same time, you have those very prospective rocks that are all folded around in that area that we have our 4 flagship projects, and then they're intruded right in the apex of this big regional scale fold by these mid-Cretaceous, basically Fort Knox style intrusions. So it's the same suite of the same volcanic belt, or intrusive belt, I should say, that brought about the mineralization at Fort Knox in Alaska, the mineralization at the Eagle Gold Mine closer to our projects in the Yukon, and now with the discoveries that we're seeing on our Rogue project.
So you have your plans, your drill plans set up for this year on these new discoveries?
Yeah.
You pretty much have figured out what you want to do next?
Essentially, we don't have it pad by pad, and a lot of that we'll try to stay flexible throughout the season as well.
Sure.
And pivot on results. But at the same time, we're looking to drill, we're bringing in a second drill. And so we're looking to drill a minimum of about 8,000 meters between the 2 rigs. And what we did this year was we started a target called Jupiter. We got into some really good stuff there, and so we were excited and kept the drill there. But we'd always wanted to move it down to Valley. And so we drilled about 80% of the season up at Jupiter, and with the last few holes, we moved down to Valley. And what did we have to lose? And certainly we made a great discovery there. Yeah. So we're looking to kind of duplicate that this year with 80% on Jupiter again, the second drill, 80% on Valley, and then some of those nearby targets that I've been talking about, step out, and what do we have to lose? We'll just see what we can do.
And you're really well funded now, I think.
We are. We have about $8.5 million in the treasury,
and so do what you need to do. Your season is somewhat short.
It's about 4 to 5 months. We can push it farther in the fall, and we'll see. You start to run into various logistical challenges with daylight and so on at that point.
Yeah, maybe just spend a minute or two to talk about your technical talent, because that's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned, we have Craig Hart as the chair of the company, and then we've recently brought in. We've basically rebuilt our technical team. We brought in Thomas Branson. He's a very sharp up-and-coming geologist with a lot of management experience and hands-on scientific experience in the Yukon and in British Columbia. And then we brought in an operations manager, Steve Reynolds, who is he's kind of an organic hire. When he started as a soil sampler on the Einarson project for a company that we'd optioned it out to, and knows the project well. And one of those people that you're just working with him and like, okay, this guy should be doing more than just sticking bags of soil into bigger bags. So,
that's wonderful.
Yeah, exactly. And then we're also kind of putting the polish on a final hire. So we'll have more details to share with that shortly, but definitely strengthening out the technical team.
People's everything. What about access and infrastructure? With about a minute left to go here, can you comment on that?
Yeah, so it is remote, and that's part of why you can walk up streams and find these boulder trains that these potentially world-class deposits just sticking out of the ground. So, so that's the trade-off, I suppose. But we're just gotten an airstrip permitted to build in the spring, and we have a central location for a new camp this year that will really allow us to drill all of these targets. And a few more that are right in the vicinity from a centralized location. So it's fixed wing support, dedicated helicopter on site, and that really cuts our costs down. And then when you look at it in terms of dollars spent per ounce discovered, I think we're on track to do okay. Yeah. Yeah,
indeed. Well, it really is an exciting story. It's early yet, it's still early days, but the success rate has been remarkable. I mean, first drill season, and you found something. And maybe just briefly, because scale is so important, especially in more remote areas, can you just comment on what the potential scale is of a couple of these new, because you've got a sense of where the mineralization is now. Can you talk about scale?
Yeah, exactly. And so both drill discoveries are associated with kilometer scale. Jupiter's 3 kilometers. Valley, as of the results we put up this morning, we have about a 2 kilometer geochemical signature that these are associated with. So they look to be very big. And then importantly, these discoveries they're exciting in themselves, but I think they really proved that this district scale idea that we founded the company around holds a lot of water. So, we're looking at potentially some good scale on deposits, but also really a brand new district.
Wonderful. Excellent. Scott, it's very exciting. I'm looking forward to it as a shareholder, and like my subscribers to pick up your shares. I know some of them have, and I think they're probably pretty happy. So all the best to you.
That's great. Thank you very much,
Have
Jay.
a great season.